You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast with your host, Shemaya Reed. This podcast is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. Now, let's tune into today's podcast.
Hey, this is I Am Refocused podcast. We are here once again on Thursday morning here at Rockafellas Barbershop. Shout out to our main dude, man, Rico Rodriguez, the owner of Rockafellas Barbershop. You need a haircut in San Antonio. Hey, Miss T, she's here too, so make sure you show them both some love. We have a special guest today. Today we're going to be talking about allmahilasheart.org organization. And today's guest is Gloria Rodriguez. I want to say good morning. How you doing?
Good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing awesome. So before we get right into your organization, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go into how old I am, but my husband and I own a spa downtown on the Riverwalk called Dasa Spa on the Riverwalk. Mm-hmm. We've been there for over 20 years. We have two sons, David Albert and Samuel Albert, i.e. Dasa. We renamed the spa after them. Nice. We provide massage therapy, facials, manicures, and pedicures for the guests of San Antonio, mainly the business travelers. So we get to see different people from all over this great country every day. We love it.
And when it comes to just this organization, Mahilas Heart, tell us a little bit about how you were inspired to even start. Yeah. What caused that light to come on?
That's a great question. So, how far back you want me to go?
As far as back you want.
So, just briefly, my mom and dad raised 8 kids. We're a pretty big Mexican, Hispanic family here in Texas. We are from a little town called El Campo, Texas, and my mom instilled and my dad both, they instilled our faith life in us since we were very, very little. The 2 earliest remembrances that I have are learning how to pray the rosary around mom and dad's bed, and the second one is watching Billy Graham crusades on TV. That was a huge thing in our house. Mom used to have sleepovers and stuff with all the kids. They're laying down on pillows and blankets watching. Couldn't wait to see Billy Graham. So we grew up with a strong faith life and went through all of my growing up in adult years. I knew that my mom was my prayer warrior. She was the one that I looked to for wisdom and advice and prayer. And all through my adult life, at the age of 76, my mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She was diagnosed in 2010, and the doctor gave her 9 months to a year left to live, and she actually stayed with us about 3 months instead. But one of the things that happened, which was so amazing, and Mom being a faith-filled woman that she was a pillar in the community, and so she was known in our community as being a giver and helping other people that needed help. She was also someone that people would come to for advice and for prayer. And so when my mom was ill with pancreatic cancer, she had decided to tell the doctors at MD Anderson that told her she had pancreatic cancer. She said, "I want you to promise me something," because she understood what pancreatic cancer was. Her mom passed away from pancreatic cancer, and so did her grandmother. So it kind of came down the family. She told the doctor at MD Anderson, "I want you to promise me something. I don't want any pain medicine as long as I possibly can take the pain, because I want to offer up my pain and suffering for the souls in purgatory." That's how strong her faith was, and that's how strong her Catholic faith was as well. So she had that sort of relationship with our Lord and Savior. One of the dynamos of Mom seeing in my own life my faith grow from a child all the way to adulthood was when my kids were very small. They were a few months old. I had decided, as a business owner that does massages at that time in hotel rooms, we covered the city. We did all sorts of services in all sorts of hotels, and it was awesome. I had decided not to do massages anymore in hotel rooms, and I was just going to run the company. We had grown to be fairly big. I had gotten a call from one of the directors of the Marriott, and he told me that he wanted me to come in and do a special guest, that to provide a massage for a special guest that was going to come in to town. I was adamant about, no, I can't do that. And he said, yes, you really should do this. This is a VIP. We went back and forth, and finally he kind of wore me down, and said, I said, okay, well, who is this guy? And he said, well, we're going to call him Benjamin Franklin, but his name is Billy Graham. And so when Billy Graham came to the crusade 23 years ago here at the Alamo Dome, he received massages every night from myself, and my husband, of course, set up the table and everything for me. So for 7 nights, my husband and I were able to pray hand in hand with Billy and Ruth Graham. And such an inspiration through my spiritual life, and it was just phenomenal.
That's quite a story. And did y'all ever get in conversation after prayer, or? Oh
yeah, we talked a lot. In fact, one of the first things that Billy Graham asked me was, he asked me if I was a Christian, and I said, I grew up with you. I watched you when you were in the Crusades on black and white TV, in the 60s. I mean, I grew up with you, and so we just got along very well. And he started asking me different things, and he said, what can I pray for you? And so, and our youngest son, who was like 4 or 5 months old at the time, was born with a skin deformity that was very rare, and the doctor said that he might not have long to live if it became cancerous. So immediately I was telling Billy Graham about my son, and he's, we're going to pray for him. But Ruth, and he asked for a picture of Sam, and we gave it to him the following day, and he said, we're going to pray for him every single night that we're here. The prayer team is, we don't want you to worry. God's got your son, and of course my son now is 24 years old. God's got your son, God's got your business, God's got your marriage. Just Billy Graham, like, whoa.
That's pretty. That's an awesome story, because, man, that's almost breaking news, because you don't hear stuff like that. That's pretty awesome. Now, when it comes to the organization, MyHilasHeart.org, what was the process like in the beginning stages of forming the organization?
Well, so the organization itself, there's a little story as to why we call it. You may wonder why My Hila's Heart Project. I mean, where does that name come from? The name actually comes from this. My mom, when she was in pain right before she was going to pass to go into the arms of Jesus, a few days before, she was whimpering in pain, and she said in Spanish, "Yo quiero mi corazón de Mahila." We didn't know what that was. She had 6 girls, a tribe of girls that were around her all the time, her beck and call, taking care of her. We didn't know what that was, and so when she said that, we called my Aunt Margaret into the room, came into the room, and we said, Aunt Margaret, please listen to her. What is she asking for? And my Aunt Margaret said, Nena, ¿qué quieres? And my mom said, Maya, yo quiero mi corazón de Mahila. And my Aunt Margaret started to tear up, and she said, imagine this, when we were little girls, and when one of us got hurt outside in the yard riding our bike, and we got hurt, we would fall down, and then we would run into my grandmother's house, and we called my grandmother Mahila, Ma for grandma, and Hila was her name. So they would go. Imagine Nena, my mom, 6 years old, running into Mahila's house, and she would yell out Mahila, and Mahila would say, "Venga para acá, mija, come close, little one. Tell me what happened." And while my mom at 6 years old was telling her grandmother, Mahila, "I fell off my bike. I hurt my knee," Mahila would say, she would do this really neat thing. She would take a red construction paper, and she would cut out a little heart shape while 6-year-old Nena was telling her. And so it was a distraction from the pain, She was watching her grandma do this. And then Mahila would say, "Okay, mija, you tell me what happened. Now we're going to close our eyes and we're going to pray. and we're going to ask God to help you feel better. Do you believe, Nana, that Jesus will help you feel better? And Nana, 6 years old, yes, Mahila, with an expectant heart, a child of God, yes, Mahila, I believe. And Mahila they would close their eyes, and Mahila would whisper a prayer. And then they'd open their eyes, and Mahila would say, do you feel better, Nana? And she would say, yes, I feel better. And then Mahila, instinctively, as a parent and a grandparent, Nana, I want you to take this heart, and every time it starts to hurt again, I want you to put the heart where it hurts. And I want you to remember that God is helping you feel better. So my mom lived all of her life with that impression on her mind of what made her feel better. And 7 days before she passed, that's what she wanted, was her Mahila's heart to help her feel better. As soon as we heard that story, we're scrambling, trying to find red construction paper. And she blessed everybody with that, her Mahila's heart, her rosary, her crucifix, everything she had. So that's the story where Mahila's heart comes from.
Man, that's that's awesome. The reason why that's awesome is because the whole concept of cutting out a heart and putting the heart where the hurt is, that can go in so many conversations,
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the organization and the people that you serve, because I notice it's a list.
Yeah.
It's not just one specific person that you help. Talk a little bit about that, some of the people that you're helping in this with this organization.
So it's all about community. So in honor of my mom, we created an organization called the Mahila's Heart Project. And what we do is we serve the community by injecting medicine for the soul, which I believe is love, hope, and joy, into the souls of others that are in need of comfort. And in our community, the 7 groups that have touched my life so much, because I've had connections with these groups throughout my life. One of them is kids battling cancer. So we've created an event called Christmas in July, which I'll talk to you more about in a little bit. So one of them's kids battling cancer. Another one is the elderly. Another one is homelessness. Another one is hungry. Another one is folks that are battling addictions and are suicidal. Yeah. Then there's battered women and children, and bullied children as well. And so we've got 7 different groups that we impact here. We strive to impact in the community of San Antonio.
And when it comes to that's a lot of people, because you can say that's a lot of people hurting, because you're impacting a lot of lives. Just curious to know, how do you even start? Like, what is the process? Like, how do you find them, or do they have people come send them to you? How does all that work, the process?
That's a great question. So to answer that, I'm very aware and cognizant of the magnificent nonprofit organizations that are within San Antonio. There's quite a few of them that really, these folks are, the warriors that go out and live their lives every day to try and improve and better the lives of individuals in these groups. Mahila's Heart Project is, our intention is to kind of catch whatever falls through the cracks, if you will. You've heard of random acts of kindness?
Yeah.
We're kind of like the planned acts of kindness. We create events, some of them pretty big events, because we want to make an impact in that particular aspect of the community or that particular group. We want to make an impact that will go on with that person or that family for years to come, that would be some sort of inspiration to them, or some sort of memory that they can hold that will bring them hope, love, and joy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. When you are having volunteers on the front line, what are some of the things that they do day-to-day basis as far as serving? what was some of the tasks that they have to do with the organization?
Well, we get volunteers and folks and businesses that help us when we create these special events. Mm-hmm. So, do you want to talk about Christmas in July?
Oh yeah, that's coming up, man. Christmas in July is coming real fast. Now, tell us the history, how they get started, and what's the mission of this event.
So, Christmas in July, what we found, there are two reasons why we do Christmas in July. And what Christmas in July is, it's this huge Christmas party in the heat of summer for these children who are battling cancer and their families to come and kind of get away from it all for a little while and to celebrate Christmas in a magnificent way. Santa Claus makes a special trip during the heat of the summer to come and be with these kids now. But we do that primarily in the summer because we were told two different things that really touched my heart. One of them is that these particular families are very special families. They don't get a lot of attention during the heat of the summer. It's during the Christmas time itself, through the holiday season when it's cold outside, everybody's in the spirit of giving. That's when there's a lot of attention given to these families. So we wanted to do something different. We created Christmas in July. The second reason that we decided to do that decided to do Christmas in July is because we're trying to bring Christmas memories for that family that may not have that second Christmas that year because that child may have already earned their angel wings. So we want to do all we can to comfort. And again, it's to inject medicine for the soul, love, hope, and joy. And I use that word inject specifically because these kids are injected like all the time with chemo and medicine, that tries to keep them alive. We're doing something a little bit different, but we're injecting them as well.
With the heart, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Put the heart where the pain is. I think I remixed it. I meant to say put the heart where the hurt is.
That's right.
But when it comes to San Antonio community, San Antonio is known for always giving and always getting involved in their own community. What's some of the, if you had a story pop in your head that you can reach out and talk about to the audience, what story comes to mind where you've seen firsthand the impact of what your services give back and giving back to the community?
Well, specifically about Christmas in July or about...
Christmas in July, since it's fresh and the hot topic, yeah. If you have a memory, family that was impacted or a child.
Yeah. Well, Christmas in July, we've gotten several of our VIP families that were with us last year reached out to us immediately after that, and a couple of those kids actually did pass away before Christmas. So they had shared with me how incredibly important that was for their family to have that memory. Yeah. We've done like I was mentioning to you that one of our groups that we focus on are wounded warriors and first responders. A few years back, we had gotten a phone call from the director of the Fisher House at BAMC, and we have a relationship with them, of course, and she had said. She had asked me if there was any way that we could provide kind of a weekend excursion for one of the wounded warriors because he wanted to what do you call it when you're getting engaged? He wanted to ask his girlfriend to. Oh,
he wanted to propose.
Yeah. But he wanted to do it at the Hemisphere, and he wanted to do it on TV so his family could see it. So, she called me and said, "Can you make that happen?" And I said, "I'll do all I can to try." And sure enough, we got a hotel room for them, and we got back then it was WOAI came out and did a segment on them. So we do stuff like that. Like this is it's amazing. It's an amazing experience because we're able to help these groups, hopefully in meaningful ways.
Man, time flies by when you have fun. I mean, it feels like I blinked my eyes 3 times and it's already 20 minutes. So, man, we're going to be right back, take a little quick commercial break. We are here at Rockafellas Barbershop. Man, Don't you touch that iPhone, that smart device. We'll be back soon.
Welcome to Rockafellas Barbershop. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will be blessed and be glad in Him. Today I want to introduce myself. My name is Rico Rodriguez at Rockafellas Barbershop here in San Antonio, Texas, 1733 Babcock Rd. My phone number is 210-782-5188. And again, we do walk-ins on Sundays. You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast on iHeartradio. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, this is I Am Refocused podcast. We are here still talking to Miss Gloria Rodriguez, the owner and founder of Mihaela's Heart, mihaelashearts.org if you want to find more information. But we are still talking about this event that's coming in, Christmas in July. And we touched a little bit about it in the first half of the show. But let's get to the details. I had to do a little pause. Let's go into the details. So tell us, what can people expect in this event, and just kind of take it over.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here, by the way. So thank you for having me. So Christmas in July is going to be on July the 13th, which is on a Saturday. It is going to be the sponsored hotel that will be hosting it is the Hyatt Regency on the Riverwalk. What better place to have it than right in the middle of the city on the Riverwalk at the Hyatt Regency. So that's where the event itself, it's a 2-hour event from 6 to 8 p.m. on July 13th. But we've expanded it this year. We are expanding it, so it's even more exciting. The event itself, let me just say this, the event itself, the 2-hour event, includes 2 hours just of fun and activities for the kids. So we're going to have Batman and the Alliance there, the superheroes. We're going to have Paws for Pets there, the animals for the kids, which it's a huge hit. We're going to have balloon makers that do special designs and animals out of balloons. I believe it's the same group that does the balloon activity for the Spurs games. We also will have magic mirror folks. These two guys, they come and they bring their magic mirror, it's like a photo booth for the kids. We've got a couple of different salons that are coming on board that are going to be involved with doing makeovers for the kids. They're going to bring wig, which is, the kids loved it. Wigs and jewelry and, costumes and stuff like that. So it'll be a little bit of a red carpet effect for the kids. We taken special pictures of them and stuff, and that's very exciting. We'll also have some, beauty queens in the mix, as well as a red carpet picture taking opportunity for the family, so that they have something special to go home with after the event. So the event itself for 2 hours is going to be very busy, and it's going to be a lot of fun for these kids. Beyond that, though, what we're doing this year, which we've not done in the past, and it dawned on me because some of the families had mentioned to me after the last event that it would be so nice for it to have been longer. And that's kind of a fine line to walk on when we're dealing with kids battling cancer, because they can't keep up activity wise for very long. And so we were trying to figure that out, and what we came up with, the Mihaela's Heart Project board, what we came up with was an actual weekend getaway for these families. So we have over 24 families. We're 28 families with kids battling cancer and their siblings, and they're going to come downtown, and they are going to be sponsored with. These are the sponsors. There is well over a dozen about 16 hotels that are going to be involved in sponsoring the families to stay with them. All this complimentary, of course. Then we have about 16 to 18 restaurants along the Riverwalk that are going to participate and sponsor dinners for the family. So it's going to be really awesome. And then we're going to have retail centers, retail outlets that are downtown primarily, that are going to be giving us gift cards, so we can provide a gift basket for these families, and they can go on a little shopping spree while they're downtown. And then on Sunday morning, the plan is that we're going to have a little river parade for them on Sunday morning. So we'll have with those 28 families, we're thinking about 5 or 6 barges, and we're going to have as much of the community come out on that Sunday morning to cheer them on. We're just going to have them in the barges going for a little ride and have all sorts of excitement on the sidelines there, cheering them on. And so that's pretty much the icing on the cake. That is the icing on the cake. You got the whole community of San Antonio just saying, hey, we're here too. That's right. And there's also in the works a proclamation that the city will be doing for July 13th to be Christmas in July Day. Wow. That's how much the city itself is getting involved. The community downtown is getting involved to create this experience for these VIP families in our community. It's going to be stellar. I can't wait. And when you first started this organization, did you always expect it to be like this, or has it exceeded your expectations? That's a great question, and I don't really know how to answer that, because I, as a faith-filled person, I know God is going to show up and show off, and at some point, so it's almost like sometimes I have to pinch myself because things just kind of happen the way they're supposed to happen, and I don't fret or worry too much about it. And when I do start to find myself worrying about it, that's when I got to get myself back in line, because it's all for the glory of God, because we're bringing these kids into a place where they're the community, and it's not just the kids, it's their families. The siblings of these children go through a ton of stuff. Can you imagine? Day in and day out, the parents are constantly worried about the health of that sick child, while the siblings are having to deal with their own lives, and then not getting maybe some, with all good intention, of course, but maybe not getting the attention that they need. So we want to just love on these families as a whole, the mom, the dad, the family. So we're really excited about bringing Christmas for the entire family. And even after Christmas is all said and done, you still have a lot of work that you're going to be doing afterwards. Tell us about this project that you do after Christmas in July. Yeah, so Christmas in July, of course, for focusing on our children battling cancer, one of our 7, our big 7, I call it. The other, the next project that we are going to have is called the Rebuilding Project. It's Redeemer's Praise Church. I am so excited about this. There is a dear, sweet pastor in San Antonio, which anybody in the faith-filled world in San Antonio has either heard of her or has seen her pray. She is a dynamo. I mean, it's not like I know the angels are listening when she's praying. Her name is Pastor Shatigo, and she has this beautiful little church on the east side of downtown. It's called Redeemer's Praise Church. It's on Pine and Commerce. And the church itself has been in dire need for a little while now, not because of anything that, of course, Shatigo has, while she's had it. It actually, it turns out that when she purchased the building, she was unaware that it had been burnt on the inside. She was unaware of this, and so when she found out, she and a group of her volunteers decided to start to take off this sheetrock and stuff, and so they had it inspected, and it was burned. I mean, it was burned. So it's a ground up restoration that we will be producing with the Redeemer's Praise Church, and we're looking for not only volunteers that are involved in, or understand construction work, anybody that can help us with any part of the rebuilding of the church. We certainly would appreciate it. The goal is to have the church rebuilt, and her first service in her new church be on during the first month of next year, right around Dream Week, which is a big time for us in San Antonio. So why is this so important to me? Why is this so important to my Hila's Heart Project, the rebuilding of this church? It's twofold. One of them is because it touches immediately or directly into the homelessness and the hungry population in our community. And the reason that Shetigo touches those lives is because of what she does on a regular basis. She has services every week where she is feeding the hungry and the homeless. They come to her church, and most of the time she is, or her volunteers are, cooking homemade meals for them, and then they bring all of this food into the church, and she's got it like lined up there. It's like a little buffet sort of thing, and all of the homeless come in a line, and they get to eat. And so they get their food. This is so cool. They get their food, then they go sit down on the pews, and while they're eating, they're in the house of God, in this church that is, it can be 30 degrees outside. It's 30 degrees inside. That's how much this church needs work. But while they're listening to the Word of God through Pastor Shetigo, she's also feeding their bodies. And then, she has clothes that people have donated hanging on the other side of the church. She's got a whole little... She's just like a one-stop shop there at Redeemer's Praise Church. And so she'll tell everybody, if you need fresh clothes, you make yourself at home, get whatever you need, sister, brother. I mean, she's from Nigeria. So her tagline, and I joke with her because I just love this woman so much, but I joke with her because she came from Nigeria to minister to people here in San Antonio, Texas. It's not the other way around, where people here in this country go to third world countries and try and share the word. She's come here to do that for us, so in our community. So she's just a pillar in our community, and my gosh, what an amazing outcome it will be when she is able to celebrate her services with and do all the same things she's doing, but in a building that is safe and comfortable and warm when it's 30 degrees outside. And I just can't wait. I mean, it is. You can feel the Holy Spirit in that church as it is right now. I mean, I can just only imagine what it's going to be like.
And listening right now, hearing everything that's been said so far in this podcast, they want to help. Mm-hmm. So they're an individual or entrepreneur, business owner. How can they get involved? What's the best way where they can add value to your organization?
That's a great question. So we're gonna. It's obviously going to take a lot of financial capital in order to rebuild Shetigo's church. So any donations that we can get monetarily would be phenomenal, because that would support us having to go out and buy the materials and whatnot to rebuild. But also, if you're in the industry or groups of men that are in the industry of rebuilding, doing construction work, understanding the codes and everything like that need to be sought after, need to be firmed up. It's important that we're going to have the right team. It's not a question. High quality work will be done on this church, and it will be rebuilt. The way that you can get in touch with us is www.myhelasheart.org. And so I'm going to spell that because So Myhelas is MAHILAS heart.org. And please, if it is any of this inspires anyone out there, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us and let us know what you are interested in, helping us out. I know the city will also be involved in that as well, I'm sure. So we appreciate everything in advance.
I think I can't speak for nobody, but I think most people, every time they hear headquartered, they're probably going to think about the story that you talked about in the first segment of cutting out the heart and putting. I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess up the slogan. Put the heart where the hurt is, because that's a very powerful image to just imagine. Because when you talking, I was just kind of there in my mind, like, wow, someone cutting the heart and saying, hey, it's really going to be okay. Yeah. Because that is one way to use it as a visual, but it's another way to have the full understanding of the meaning. When it comes to what your organization has been doing so far, when it comes to the lives it's already impacted, what's next, man? Because it's like, you haven't hit full capacity, but it's like, man, you almost look like you did because you're doing so much. But what's next? What's your vision for this organization? What's really your next goal?
Yeah. So you know what? This is the thing. It's like Christmas morning for kids. Mm-hmm. They don't know what their present is. Yeah. And they go and open up that present and they find out, wow, this is exactly what I wanted. Yeah. Right. I kind of have that going on with God, because I don't really know. But I know that it's something, it's like right now, Christmas in July. We're going to continue to do that every year for kids battling cancer. That's a given. The rebuilding of the church, affecting homeless and hungry, that's definitely something we're going to do. Mm-hmm. And, I've been told that there's a possibility that, we could end up kind of doing that for churches, several churches throughout the city. Yeah. But beyond that, it really is. We are constantly looking for ways that we can impact the community through those 7 groups. Constantly. I was just sharing with our my dear friend and advisor Yolanda the other night when on the news it came on about a wounded warrior and his new family that came into town or that moved somewhere and just moved there and they got their truck stolen that had all of their belongings in it. And they had nothing left. I mean, it was like nothing left. And I remember I was telling Yolanda, I said, if we could be, at that point where we could actually just go and make a meaningful actions for them to help them in that state. That's what we're all about. We're again, it's not random acts of kindness. Planned acts of kindness. We want to make an impact that is going to stick. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because once again, the visual. Every time you say anything about action or make it stick, I always see that visual, the heart in the story that you shared. I mean, it's brilliant.
Put the heart where the hurt is. That's right.
It's brilliant because when people connect to certain things, they connect to real stories. Yeah. And that right there was a drop mic, just boom. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing else you can add to that. Now, since we are wrapping up this episode, is there anything you would like to tell the audience, whether it's more information or any further dates coming up that they can mark on their calendar, or just anything? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much again for having me here today. I'm so grateful to you all, and of course grateful to Yolanda for making the way possible for me to be here to share the story of my Hila's Heart Project. This is my Hila. Although I never met her, she was my mom's grandmother, and her blood runs through me, and it's the spirit of giving as well that runs through me. So it is quite it's quite amazing to be walking in steps that honor my mom and my great grandmother. The date for Christmas in July again is July 13th, and if anyone would like to please sponsor, we have 28 kids and families that are going to be partaking in this weekend. We are really, right now, we've got about 10 weeks plus left in all of the planning. We've got a phenomenal board. So blessed with the board that we have. And everybody's doing their part, and so we are needing sponsors for financial sponsors for this event. We want to be able to provide gifts, to purchase gifts for these families of which they are actually requesting. Like, we want to personalize it for them. So that's going to take quite a bit of money to do that. We have had several folks that are very generous that have helped us out, but anything anybody can do, there's a donate now button on our webpage. It's www.mahilasheart.org, mahilasheart.org. Please go there and donate and make a difference. Help us make a difference. And it's all about being part of the My Hila's Heart Project community, because it takes all of us to make a difference for these folks.
If one person learned one thing in this episode, I think is share your heart with others.
Share your heart with
because
others.
At the end of the day, that's the tone.
And you put your heart where the hurt is.
There you go. That's it. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else we can really say on this episode except for the last statement we always say. But before I say that, make sure you go to mahilasheart.org and make that donation. Tell 10 friends to tell 10 friends to tell 10 friends to share it. So that way we can make this a movement in San Antonio. So once again, shout out to Rico Rodriguez, the owner of Rockafellas Barbershop. Shout out to Yolanda. She's a big plug for the podcast now and getting us awesome guests on the show.
Thanks, Yolanda.
If y'all want more information, you can go to refocusmagazine.com, see the list of our sponsors. Make sure you click their banners and show love. Because remember what we said, put the heart where the hurt is. And that's how we do it on Refocus Magazine and I Am Refocus Podcast. Once we close the show, we always say these last words, and that is keep God first, stay focused, and peace.